on the discussion of, the things that kind of drive competitiveness in our kids, I think we will just let that topic go because the way I'm looking at Ogie and Tawa, they are not going to give up.
You're not going down. We'll all go down in fire. Let's go.
Yeah, but someone actually made the point during the break here, talking about the fact that some kids, when you actually push them that way, they actually give up and not want to ever try. So I think maybe that's why the Canadian system is that way. Whichever way it is, we hope and pray that the kids, by themselves find motivation in things that they do. So now let's talk about, this is my personal opinion. Don't quote me on this. I just noticed there's no drive to actually get higher education. Go further. Go to college, go to university. In Nigeria, for you to be counted successful, when people start looking at your success and they want to start rating it, it starts from, what's your qualification, how many certifications, how many, you have masters, you have BSc, you have PhD, you have professorship, you have, So, but this is my personal opinion. Don't quote me on that. What do you guys think, we take education very seriously, and it's equates to success for us, like I earlier mentioned. And then in the US, based on research, the African immigrants, the Nigerian immigrants specifically are the most educated people in America.
Because we like book.
We are the most educated people in America right now. I know Tawa will come from the point that, but Amarachi, Canada is on the top of the list of the most educated people in the world. But what's the percentage? We're talking of the population of Canada, right? I think that's how that is graded. Compared with other countries, we're not that much here, right? So what do you ladies think? Do you think that would affect our kids? One of your child saying, oh, I don't want to go to college, I don't want to go to the university, I don't want to push further.
So what? They don't want to go to university. Guys, let me take it from me, the person who went to university and was miserable for 4 whole years of her life. Wow. And I'm not exaggerating. I know I'm a drama queen, but when I say I was miserable for the 4 years of those.
Was it that bad?
It was awful. It was awful. It was awful, awful, awful. I will keep saying it. I've never told my parents this. When they watch this, I'm sorry. But no, it was, for me, it was awful. And I knew what I wanted to do, but I still had this idea that I have to be here. I had things I wanted to do. And I only told my parents in my 3rd or 4th year of university that this is actually what I want to do. Because I didn't think they would accept it. I didn't think they would support me in any way. They never gave me any indication that they would.
Oh, yeah. But did you try?
No!
When I
told you that I was not confrontational, I was not trained to be confrontational. When my parents say, do this, I just do it.
And that is it.
And that's it.
That is it for Nigerian parents.
And that is it. They told me, you need to go to university. And the whole thing of, even when they asked me, if you're not going to go to university, what are you going to do? The way they would say it, if you don't go, you're a failure, straight. And maybe they didn't even mean it that way, but the way they said it, it struck me. It struck me.
And that is something I like about the system here. Who cares if you go to college? Who cares if you go to university? You can decide you want to become a plumber, a mechanic.
They make a lot of money.
There are schools, there are institutes out there that you can go to. Exactly. Who cares about college?
And that's right away after high school.
Universities? In Nigeria, if you're not an engineer, a lawyer, or a doctor,
you are the family embarrassment, the failure.
But here you see that the environment, the system enables you to become anything you want to become. You want to become a filmmaker, go for it. You want to become a soccer player, go for it.
But don't you think education kind of provides a base for you? Provided, if you have a BSc, let's say, even, a bachelor's.
So in this environment, I would say, yes, but not conventional education, like you have to go to university. But if you decide you want to do plumbing, for instance, there's trade school. You can go to trade school.
Up.
You can learn. But my own is just learn. Just learn. And the reason I say that is I have seen kids who, they've done summer jobs, Walmart's, McDonald's, and then after grade 12, they feel, oh, I can just continue here.
I can take care of myself.
But the truth is, that will only carry you so far. Yep. You don't want to be the weak link in the family. I mean, no.
What if tomorrow you become a franchise owner of McDonald's?
How are you supposed to get that? Is it free?
Do you need education? You don't need education for that.
Well, It's happened.
I
Let's
agree.
not
I
forget.
agree. It
I
happens.
totally agree,
But how
though.
often does it happen? Is
fair
the
enough.
question. So it's okay. And I mean, the good thing is, for a lot of us, we're comfortable. We probably can support our children in whatever dreams they have. But it's not all parents that have that luxury to keep sponsoring you and paying the bills until you get yourself. So what education does for me is it helps you connect that dot.
From
And the fact that
whatever
you
you
stayed,
thought.
Tawa, the fact that you
That's
stayed and
true.
finished, it means you have staying
I'm
power.
sorry, I had a
Because
choice.
regardless of whatever path you decide to follow, you have to be able to see it through. If they give you a contract, if you're the
should be able
person
to see
that
it
you
through,
just
yeah?
want to just give up at the instance of any slight obstacle, that will still come. But you stuck it through. So that in itself is something that you've learned.
What the world presents right now is anything can actually be a career. As opposed to your parent, when you're growing up, the moment you mention, because I know there was a day my son said, "Oh, I want to be a firefighter." I'm like, But think about it. Firefighters are wonderful people. They save lives and they earn good pay. But you know, because of that mindset of what you expect the child to say is, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an engineer. I want to be, even now, I want to be a computer analyst. I want to be this. And then you hear, stuff like that. But I've come to actually realize that things don't work that way. The only thing I would say goes back to that. If you actually are steadfast in whatever you are doing, you will achieve success. So that's push, that a little pressure to be able to swim in the midst of the competition and still stick your head out is still what you need. So education, I agree. And even if you're doing YouTubers, let's just use that as an example, because that is like the thing I think my mom will hear and be like, what did you say?
Social media influencer.
What did you say again? But think about it. You cannot be successful at being a YouTuber without learning how to do it. So you still need to apply some level of, interest,
But
education.
you don't need to go to school to learn all those
So
things.
I totally agree. So I think
you don't need to go
we should
to
start
school.
opening up to not having, because I know a friend of ours says, if hear that people that come to Canada and go and be studying jumpology.
What's that?
So it's just a slang or a term he used to, classify all those other courses that he feels they are not doctor, engineer, lawyers. He said, you can't come all the way from Nigeria and then you're studying jumpology in Canada. Okay, now that we're talking about, the university, do you guys know about the Rachel Professor app?
Yes. Yes.
I love it. And the reason is because if you have a professor that is not up to par, that is not meeting standard, you can rate that professor. You can give them a feedback, and they can change.
Yes.
But
If they love their job.
in Nigeria, who are you
Yes.
rating? You can't rate anybody in Nigeria. They will threaten you. Your professors will. You can't even talk to anyone.
You even
Your
fail the
professors
course.
will threaten you. They will tell you you will not graduate
Yes.
if you if you do.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Professors can tell you to your face that you are going to fail this course.
And you will fail, and nothing
you
is going to
fail.
happen.
You know, maybe
And
think
you
I should be
can't
nicer to my
challenge it.
parents now because I clearly went through it. Like,
Oh yeah.
And you can't challenge. So I love to rate my professor. What? If you're not meeting up,
What do you guys
go
think?
there and you drop your comments.
that stuff saved me. I just check it out. I didn't even write any comments, but me, I went there. Oh, you don't like this professor? Why? Okay, not taking that class. Next.
I think that too.
I mean, when you're struggling already, you kind of need to find ways to struggle less.
I think it also, puts the lecturers or professors on their, well, maybe not on their toes, but it lets them know that it's a two-way street, you know. I have a stake in that I want to pass, I want to get this degree, but you also need your job because if the students are not taking your courses and everybody is complaining about you, then maybe you need to go back to school as well. So I think it's very good. It's a very
so
good
I had a
thing.
personal experience about professor working hard to ensure that they have students for a course. So when I got here, I had a professor who was telling me to tell my friends to take his course, and I wondered why. I don't hear that often back home where a professor will tell you, okay, tell Tawa to try, tell Folake to come and register for my course. And when I went to check the number of people registered for that course, there were just 2 at the beginning of a semester. But I didn't know about the Rachel Professor app then. So after a while, before the class started, someone talked about it during the orientation. So I went to check it, and then I saw the review for the professor. I'm like,
You see?
I'm actually dropping this course right now. Honestly, not not because the professor is bad, but because like the workload, his way of distributing marks, people had issues with that. Like the course is so tough. So I went back to him and I'm like, oh, why am I right? So he said they have the obligation to ensure they're able to impact knowledge to the students, not just be taking a course. And if they don't get people to register for their courses, they tend to scrap their course. So they also, in as much as I have the responsibility to learn, I have the responsibility to ensure I'm not wasting my school fees. They have the responsibility to ensure that I'm being taught well.
And that's what you're paying for,
Yes,
right?
I
You're not
actually
just,
like that.
You're not just coming to school to, listen to a professor talk from morning to night, and you don't understand it. That's what you're coming to school to do, to learn. And if your professor is not meeting up, then you're out of the door.
So lastly, let's talk about, the struggles that I know that is prevalent back home. It's still a problem back home, going to school, studying to become a lawyer and ending up being a banker. And not because it's by choice, but because you didn't find a job in your desired field. Spending 5 years to go to law school after 4 years in school and all that because of, there's no job for you, and then you end up going to become a banker. So I don't have a problem with maybe deciding to change field after school, but that has to be intentional. That has to be by choice.
That's
but
what you want.
In Nigeria, you're kind of forced to take whatever you have presently to start earning a living. Do you guys think that that's the case here? Like people still struggle with getting a job in the field?
No, I think you can get your job. You can get a job in your field if you choose to. If you want to go into that field, unlike back home in Nigeria, where I came across this tweet on Instagram where he said that he's a lawyer, and the law firm that he got a job in, they were going to pay him 30,000 naira as a lawyer. 30,000 naira is less than $100 a month. So how do you expect a lawyer that spent 5 years in university,
Writing
1 year in law
exam.
school, 1 year in law school, and you are offering them 30,000? So you see a lot of people, a lot of graduates, they are business owners, entrepreneurs, and not because they want to do those things, it's because there is nothing out there for them. You're a medical doctor, you're a nurse, you can't even practice. You're an engineer, you can't even practice. So people I need to survive. Yeah. The government is not,
intentionally providing jobs.
Providing jobs for people. Not like here, they're not even helping, say, okay, I'm on EI, on anything like that. So people have to fend for themselves. So you see them out there being entrepreneurs, being taxi drivers, people with law degrees, and it's just what the system is, unfortunately. But here, if you decide, oh, okay, I don't want to become a doctor anymore, I want to become a social worker, it's your choice. It's because you wanted to, not because the system or you didn't find any job.
The percentage of people that get jobs in the field here is high.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure people still struggle. I mean, I think that's just part of it. Some people will struggle. Maybe you're in the wrong part of the country. Like maybe the jobs that you trained in is not as available here. Maybe you should go somewhere else. That might be a bit of where the struggle is.
I agree.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's true.
That's a very good point.
And I think also is the fact that, so here, I mean, back home, so if I go to school and I do biochemistry, for instance, a lot of the bank jobs, nobody's going to care whether you did a financial related course in school.
I feel like you should.
Do you have a BSc? That's all they care about. But here, it's restricted. You can't just do maybe physics in school and then you want to come work in IT. He has to, but we see a lot of that back home. Like, I have a lot of colleagues in my office in IT who they did biochemistry, did agriculture, But here, you can't, that's like crossing, it's like crossing without visa, So the job that you want to do, there needs to be matching education, and there's a way that it's been grouped. So it's easy. Maybe I do science lab tech, for instance. Yes, I can still wiggle my way into nursing or medicine because it's somewhat related, but I can't jump from medical or sciences and then I'm in IT. So that also will create some sort of standard.
I would say the university is also help in that case as well. I don't know about, I can't speak for every university. My university had a career center where they actually, you could go there, you can make appointments, you can talk to somebody and they can like help you find a job or help you figure out where to find
the
jobs.
co-op system.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, the co-op system. Thank God we mentioned that.
Yeah, and even they even allow, even after graduation, you have access to them for a couple of years afterwards, which is very helpful because then you actually, and you have connections too. So like, networking. Networking is huge here.
On that note, we have come to the end of this session. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Thank you for staying with us through it all. Like I usually say that the discussion is over here, does it end here? You can actually let us know your thoughts on our social media platform. Until see you again on our next episode, take good care of yourself. Bye-bye. Stay safe, guys. Bye.